What is up, everybody? I just finished the 10th week of my training in my 14-week race build, the journey to Ironman Florida, coming up on November the 5th, 2022, which is just 26 days away as I record this. Overall, I am feeling fantastic. My energy levels are high, I feel super fit, and I feel like I'm ready to take on the challenge of becoming an Ironman. I'll be honest, these last 10 weeks have been grueling. I've been doing double sessions most of these weeks, averaging over 15 hours of training every week, and it has been really demanding. There were some low points, some points of low energy to be sure, but I think I'm over that at this point. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Just have a few more weeks, or 2 more weeks really, of big work coming up before I start to dial back and taper for race day. So I'm going to keep pushing right up until that point to squeeze every last ounce of fitness that I can before I dial back and I get ready for race day. This was a big week in my training. I nailed down a lot of important stuff. A lot of my fueling strategy, which obviously is going to be really important during a 10 to 12 hour Ironman event. It comes down to nutrition, so I want to make sure I am dialed in with my plan for that, and also plan B, plan C, right? I did some great running in the rain this week, and I had a bunch of good, solid training sessions. I'm certainly not at my peak right now. I'm carrying a little bit of residual fatigue, which is to be expected, training twice a day most days. But generally I feel really good. My training volume this week was similar to last week. Less running, obviously, a little bit more focus on the bike, over 7 hours on the bike, a little bit reduction in swimming, and that's in part to one of the sessions was an ocean session that was challenging, so I didn't put up the big yardage, but I still put in good work on every one of those sessions. I got in 2 strength and mobility sessions. I'm always proud when I'm able to do that, so it was like about 14 hours and 40 minutes of training, and then if you add in the strength training sessions, it was about 16 hours and 20 minutes in week 10. To start it off, Mondays, generally an easy recovery day. I did a really easy bike session, spun the legs for about half an hour, and then I did a strength training session. Tuesday was a big day. I did a double session down in Miami Beach. I love training in Miami Beach. It's the ultimate training environment. The beach itself is huge. It's great to run on. It's a great place to swim. The water's not very deep. It's usually not that difficult water conditions there. And there's a couple of great public gyms there as well. So it's probably my favorite place in the world to train. So I'm down to Miami Beach nice and early. I started off with a 1 mile barefoot run on the soft sand, and then I swam back and then down again a little bit, 2,600 yards total. Most of the swim was against the current, which was frustrating. Obviously, the pace isn't great, which I'm aware of, and that involves a lot of rest intervals. I didn't do just a straight swim, but I did more of a swim set. The water was pretty calm, but the swim was against the current most of the way, which is good practice, right? If I'm out swimming in the ocean, I want to be dealing with challenging ocean conditions, because I'm going out into open water to get better at handling challenging ocean conditions. I'm pretty good at it now, but race day, it's going to be in the Gulf of Mexico. I know last year's race had some challenging swim conditions, and if this year's race is challenging swim conditions, I am ready for it. I don't feel any anxiety about the swim or the ocean conditions. I'm very comfortable in the water, and at the point that I would start to feel anxiety would be after the point when they'd probably call the swim off. So no matter what the Gulf of Mexico is like on November the 5th, I will feel comfortable swimming the 2.4 miles on there. I have to, when I'm traveling for training sessions, I got to make sure I refuel between them if it's a double session. I did that. I had a few hard-boiled eggs and some fruit, hung out for like an hour, and then I went on a 7.7 mile run. The run was a bit of a slog. I wasn't super high energy. It was hot and humid that day, and it was a grind, but I got it done. Felt good about that. Wednesday was a short bike session. It features about 7 minutes of max effort bike intervals, which are spaced out over 3.5 minute pyramid style of work. And I do this. I'll probably do this 4 times during this training cycle. It's a really good workout. It's not all that demanding from a muscular skeletal standpoint, but it definitely gives me a great cardiovascular workout. And then I pair that up with a brick session. So I did a 3.3 mile run after with a little bit of intensity outside. Felt good about how that went. Thursday I swam in the morning, and then I did a moderate effort bike ride on the indoor trainer. These bike miles that I'm riding on the indoor trainer, a lot of them are misleading. I'm riding really hilly routes now on Zwift. Zwift offers a special bike if you climb a certain amount, and I'm getting kind of close to that. So most of the time, if I have a training program set up for a race, so I have all the watts for the given durations all pre-programmed. If I'm doing that now, I'm going to load up a really hilly route because it doesn't make any impact if I'm riding up a hill or riding flat. It just means that I don't really accumulate a lot of miles, which can be a little demoralizing for sure, and I put up slow miles per hour, but it's not necessarily indicative of much. It just means that instead of Zwift counting my pedaling as going straight and forwards, it's counting it as going vertical up a hill. But it's getting me closer to getting the glowing bike on Zwift, which I'm looking forward to. Friday, it was another moderate effort bike ride, about 75 minutes. I did a strength training session on Friday afternoon. Saturday, I went on a 57-mile bike ride. Most of it was pretty easy. I did do a series of intervals involving some low cadence work, some high cadence work. I did about 40 minutes total of work at Ironman race pace and intensity. So that felt pretty good. Worked a lot again on nutrition, pacing, aerodynamic position, things like that. I've taken a really two-sided approach to preparing for this bike leg. I'm doing most of my physical preparation and work on the indoor trainer. It's a lot more versatile as a training tool. You can set it for whatever resistance I want to set it for, and it's easier, it's safer, obviously. So most of what I would say my training work comes here, but obviously it's important to get outside on the bike, to practice riding outdoors, to build the outdoor riding skills, get used to handling the bike, get used to being in the aero position. Outdoors the bike is more comfortable than it is when it's stationary on a trainer too, and it's good to just practice being outside, being in the heat, working on nutrition and hydration and things like that. So that's what Saturday was all about. It went pretty well. I came back, I did a 3.5 mile run off the bike. Again, some intensity. The run went pretty well. It wasn't swelteringly hot here, which is great when that happens. It's been cooling down a little bit most days, and my running pace is improving. So I'm getting fitter, the temperature is coming down, and my running pace is also increasing. So that's starting to make me feel better about this upcoming challenge as well. Sunday morning, I woke up at 5 a.m. I did a swim at 6. I've been doing swims early in the morning on weekends. They are a grind. On Sunday, I did 4,300 yards total. I had a little bit of issue with tracking, so I know the session says less than that, but it was 4,300 yards. It was a little bit slower than I wanted. I was just having a hard time, hitting the intervals that I usually hit. I thought about cutting it quits halfway through after I did the one round of intervals, but I decided to double down, do a second round of the intervals. I knew I wasn't going to perform great, but I wanted to really focus on bringing the intensity for the work intervals, right? The 85, the 90, the 95%, the max effort intervals that I had on my session. I wanted to focus on bringing as much of that as I could, right? Even if it's not going to be a fast pace, well, let's bring the 95% of what I have right now. Focus on form, focus on, catching and pulling as much of the water as I could, and then taking the rest intervals, or the slower intervals rather, the easy intervals, taking them really easy and not worrying if each length was taking 35 seconds or whatever. Just don't worry about it. It's an easy interval. It's a recovery interval. Do what I can on the work intervals and let the easy recovery intervals be easy recovery. So I ground that swim out. I got through it. I came home. I ate a nice breakfast. And then I set off on a 9.5 mile run, and I felt great on this run. It's the best I've felt running in over a year, probably. My engine right now is just, it is built. It can run long. I can hold high intensity effort intervals with relative ease. Again, during this run, it was overcast for the most part. It wasn't that hot. It was only in the mid 70s. It wasn't super disgustingly humid, and it actually began to rain really hard at the end of the run. And after running all summer in the heat and humidity, running on a cooler day in the pouring rain, it felt wonderful, and I felt great about it. I had to slow down a little bit because I didn't want to hurt myself. The sidewalks here can be a little slick when it's wet, but all in all, it was a great run. I tried for the first time these Moritin gels, which are great, and they are going to be a big part of my nutrition strategy for the race. These are offered on course for Ironman races, and they are pretty expensive. They retail for $3.60 each. So if I'm taking 3 of these every hour, that means it's costing me about $10.80 per hour to run. So it's an investment, but I like these more than any of the other nutritional manufactured products that I have tried. Throughout my endurance sports endeavors. They're unflavored, they're very easy on the stomach, and during that run on Sunday, I felt better. My mood was immediately elevated. After about half an hour when I had my first one, I really wasn't feeling that great at the start of the run, especially featuring the swim earlier. It wasn't that nice of a day. I didn't feel like being out there running, but once I settled into the run, I had my first gel. I stayed well hydrated. I really started to feel good, and I ran some intervals. I felt great doing that, and overall, it was a great session. Another great week of training. I'm feeling great, and ready to get out there and tackle this race. I feel as strong and fit as I ever have in my life, and it's just an incredible feeling. So as I build, this week will be another big week of training. I really want to get down my final logistics for the race and equipment choices nailed down. There's a couple of things that I want to work on in terms of getting on the bike, making sure I can carry what I need to carry during the race, and making sure all the traveling logistics to or from the race are hammered down, so I can travel up to Panama City Beach and run the best race that I can on November the 5th, and that's what it's all about. So I'll be in again next week for another update in my training. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you could subscribe to the channel, it would make my day. I really appreciate that, and thank you for watching, and thanks for your support.